I feel heartbroken to see that there are over 1,000 pilgrims who died because of the extreme heat. So it very much depends on the weather within those 5 days. So last year we also had a few deaths during the time of the Hajj, but the number was significantly lower than what we are observing at the moment. I also believe that that the number are still underestimated. There can be like plus 20%, which are not being reported at the moment. The pilgrims had to perform a lot of rituals under the open sky. The temperatures soar above 50 degrees centigrade with some level of humidity in the air as well. So it is the combination of heat and humidity which become very lethal. The old you are, more vulnerable you are to the heat extremes, and that's what we have witnessed this year. Saudi Arabia is the highest, I mean, one of the biggest exporter of fossil fuel. It's a high time for the Saudi authorities as the custodian of the Holy Mosque to consider this calamity which we have witnessed this year. I mean, it's only going to exacerbate in the future. So, I mean, that should be the wake up call for the Saudi authorities that they need to address this issue and take a leadership role in addressing this menace of climate change, which relates to the fossil fuel emissions. But the faithful, they save their money. They don't build a house, but they prefer to perform this ritual. I mean, they save their whole life, especially the poor. And after retirement, like after 60, they go there, they perform it. So I mean, that is the level of faith. If I'm the host, I mean, it's my responsibility to respond accordingly. Even before the Hajj, there were claims from Saudi authorities that they have put certain measures in place, to the adaptation measures to combat the possible heat impacts. But we have seen that those have failed. I mean, the deaths, they speak for themselves. So unfortunately, adaptation actually is the failure of mitigation of global emissions. We need to introduce the adaptation option as much as we can, while realizing that it will compromise on the centuries old ritual. But still, we need to save people. But at the same time, we must do climate action to stop the global warming at 1.5 degrees centigrade. At anything beyond that, I mean, we are putting those pilgrims at the risk of death. I do not dare to perform Hajj during this heat. I have performed the shorter version of the pilgrimage, which is called Umrah. So Hajj is like 5 to 6 days, but Umrah is just 5 to 6 hours. And I prefer to do it during the winter times or during the night times in summer. I went there once during the summertime, close to the sunset, and the floor was so warm that I was barefooted, of course, and I had to hop like a penguin. We have other faiths where we have huge gatherings. Like I'm from South Asia, and South Asia, Hinduism is a dominant religion as well. So they also have huge gatherings. I mean, my Western Asia, Iran and Iraq, and you have mentioned Syria, the Middle East. I mean, we also have huge gatherings other than Hajj and Umrah. Everybody is under the threat. So we need to address this issue as a global community, not as people of individual faiths, but as a global community. In order to save lives of the poorest of the poor, or people who are at the forefront of the risk, I mean, we must reduce our emissions, and we have to make the transition of our energy system, the global energy system, towards renewables.